This is Will's Band of the Week for August 14th, 2016. Hello and welcome to another edition of Will's Band of the Week. This is Will, along with Nicholas, from an undisclosed remote location, but probably somewhere near the Melbourne Bureau.
Live via satellite in Melbourne, from Melbourne.
Right. It is live via satellite, right? That's a crazy thing to contemplate, right? It's actually going, like this digital data is going up to a satellite and back down like halfway across the world, and it's going so fast that's basically instantaneous. Right?
Yep, human evolution has us, we've sort of progressed to this point where we've got these satellites in space, and it's all so that you and I can talk to each other.
Yeah, that's crazy stuff, really. Yeah. So, yeah, it's good. Good. It's been a while.
Maybe there's some astronaut up there who's like, he's... Do you think that they shine up those sort of reflector panels, the same way that they clean the outside of skyscrapers and that sort of thing? There's some guy who's not getting paid very much money, but he's sort of on these ropes and he's got this big rag, shining it up.
I would assume so, yeah. And when they don't clean it for a while, that's when our internet connection gets a little slower, right?
Yeah, it's like, Bob, come on, clean the shiny panel thing. People can't watch YouTube as quickly as they used to.
Yeah, there's like a tenth of a second delay or something. Yeah. We're on YouTube now, right? I think like 5 people have listened to the podcast by going to YouTube.
Yeah, and that's five people that have been won over.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah, it's 5 people who have a better quality of life as a result, and you can't put a price on that, right? Well, you can. The price is $0, but
yeah, it's interesting now on YouTube because there's so even though you're number one on my list, there are other podcasts that I listen to. Although this is the only one that I'm an exclusive guest on. Mm-hmm. You happen to know you've got the exclusive rights to Nicholas from Melbourne.
Well, yeah, that's in the contract. I mean, if you were to go on another podcast, it'd be like punitive damages of like $1 million. So
it's true.
Yeah.
But there's I listened to this podcast called Guitar Nerds, which is from England, and basically a bunch of guitar players talking about new guitar gear. Anyway, they've been going for a couple of years, and they've just recently gone from just audio to video. So they basically still just sit in their living room recording their podcast, and you can still hear it as an audio podcast. But now they've just got a camera set up, and they just record it as them all just sitting around, and then they put that up on YouTube. So maybe that might be where the Will's Band of the Week podcast needs to go.
Sure, we could do a video feed.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'd be really exciting to sit and watch us. Well, the problem would be for me. Like I always listen to podcasts while I'm doing something else. I'm either driving or like sometimes even at work doing paperwork, but more often that would be music. But if I am, folding the laundry or doing the dishes or something, that's the perfect time for podcasts, right? Because you can multitask. So if I had to actually look at the screen, I think that'd be a negative thing. Of course, looking at us would be extra special and worthwhile. But for most podcasts, I think audio is the way to go.
Yeah, no, look, I'm with you. I reckon the thing that visuals kind of gives you is it just kind of orientates you as to like what the person you're listening to looks like, how they kind of move when they're talking, maybe what the room kind of looks like. So even if you just kind of like watch a few seconds of it, then when you go back to listen to it, you kind of got more of a accurate picture in your head.
Right, that makes sense. Yeah. So, all kinds of options. Maybe
all
with this
kinds of
YouTube,
options.
I was thinking with this YouTube thing, we could make like a commercial for our podcast.
Hey, that's cool. Yeah. And I know that you have. I know that when I first discovered you guys, about whenever that was, 4 or 5 years ago, I did look you up on YouTube, and as you know, there is actually some content of you guys that you made like a 1 minute video, really, didn't you?
Yeah, Chris made it.
Yeah.
It's from 2010, I think. Yeah.
So I reckon it might be time to update it, Will.
Yeah, because now
they'd
be like, they'd look at that, and if they met us, they'd be like, God, you guys are old. You're really old. 6 years ago, man, we were probably looking pretty young back then. Yeah. Well, we were aging rockers already back then, so we're like really aging rockers now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we were thinking we were going to do like a pre-production meeting kind of theme for the YouTube promo.
Right, yeah.
Maybe kick Chris off the podcast or something in a pre-production meeting, something like that. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah. We'll try to come up with something.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So I don't think I have any music news, and I definitely don't have any live reports because for me right now, I haven't gone to see any live bands in a while. I've got a few coming up though, which should be fun. So hopefully we'll have some live reports coming up. But none right now, and I don't have any good music news either. So do you have anything on those fronts?
I did a little bit of research, came up with nothing really. As you know, it's a long time between going to see gigs for me, so I'll let you know. My friend Andy came over and he brought his electric guitar and some fuzz pedals, and we had a jam in my music room. Does that count as music room, as music news?
Oh, absolutely.
I think it does.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a kind of an interactive live experience.
And that's like living the aging rocker thing rather than just being an aging rocker fan. So
well, yeah, I think so, because my son Fox was asleep. We both had a cup of tea, and I mean that's all pretty rock and roll, I reckon.
Yeah, that's totally rock and roll. So all right, good. We don't need music news, right? Who needs it?
No. Well, there's lots of great music to listen to. So let's just focus on what we are doing, which is exploring some great stuff that's out there and talking about what we think about it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, and the kind of cool thing, I mean, we talked about what we're going to talk about, but we haven't given each other our opinions. So it's going to be like a complete shock to both of us, right? Because
it is. So there's going to be you'll be able to hear us sort of whack our hands into our foreheads going, I can't believe that's what you think.
Right, exactly. Yeah. All right, should we get right into the music then?
We don't even know who we're going to do first. This is crazy.
Yeah, I think you probably go with the established artist first. I think that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Is that all right?
That's totally fine.
All right.
As long as it doesn't mean that people are going to turn off and not like stick around for that band that they might not have heard.
No, you got to stick around for the whole thing, because you just never know what's going to happen on this podcast. Unpredictable from moment to moment. In fact, if you just skipped the podcast ahead 30 seconds, you could miss something really good. So don't ever do that.
This next 27 seconds is going to blow your minds.
It'd be one thing if we had commercials. Like, I love my podcast app has like a skip 30 seconds ahead thing on it, right? Yeah. I love doing that when I hear an ad for stamps.com or something like that. That's like the biggest advertiser of podcasts in the entire North America is stamps.com. Oh my God, it's terrible. All right. Dinosaur Jr. They're aging rockers and they just keep on rocking, right?
It's true.
And I thought you would be a good person to discuss Dinosaur Jr. with, since, of your famous gig with the music stand of Jay Mascis, right?
Yes, and just really quickly for anyone that doesn't know what we're referring to there, I guess it was a couple of years ago, we went to see Jay Mascis on one of his acoustic solo tours, and it was at this beautiful sort of sit-down theatre. And, it was just Jay, and we had good seats sort of in the middle of the floor, and we're all there, and we've all had our little glass of red wine. And Jay walks onto stage with his acoustic guitar and it's like, oh, yeah, this is going to be awesome. And then he sits down on this seat, and then it was at that moment that basically everyone sitting on the floor realised, oh, my God, he's got this massive music stand with his lyrics right in front of his face. So all we're looking at is his sort of like his body. Can't even see his face. His whole head was covered by this music stand. It was ridiculous. Like all these people in the front row, in the front two rows, basically got out of their seats and sort of walked to the side and sort of stood in the aisle. So it was great. Yeah. I enjoy paying money just to see someone's body, not their face.
Yeah.
But you know, I reckon that's the sort of thing that you can get away with when you're Jay Mascis, because who's going to say, excuse me, Mr. Mascis, you got to lose the music stand. What are you doing? Didn't you learn your lyrics?
You know what he needs? He needs a teleprompter. You know, like all the politicians use, right? Just Axl Rose had a teleprompter in the 80s. Man. Did he really?
Yeah.
He'd probably be like too drunk to remember the lyrics, right? Oh man. Speaking of drunk, I'm sure that Barrett is not drunk right now, but he's drinking beer all afternoon apparently because they have this beer event in Madison every year. It's called the Great Taste of the Midwest. And, they've got probably a couple hundred beers that people sample. And,
wow.
And so it's this big event. They sell tickets. They might even sell out. And fortunately, they give a lot of rides to and from. There's free taxis and buses and all that stuff. So, Barrett had a ticket to that. So that's why he couldn't be here today. And probably if we had him here now after an entire afternoon at the beer tasting, it might not be the greatest, He might not be at his professional 100% usual level.
Maybe not, or it might have been his finest moment. Who knows?
Yeah,
but
right.
I'm going to miss Barrett. And Barrett, if you're listening, I understand that if you had the toss-up between tasting 200 beers and talking to me and Will, I can understand why I went for the beer festival.
Yeah, he'll take the beer. It's kind of like my dog, where I give him if I give him a chicken treat, that overrides everything. As much as he's so bonded to my wife, he'll follow her everywhere she goes, and he'll be cuddled up against her. But if I give him a piece of chicken, he is gone. One display of that piece of chicken, he's gone. So
chicken treats, that could be that might be a bit of a theme for today's episode.
So it could happen with Barrett. He and I could be recording a podcast, and somebody could walk in with a little taste of beer, and Barrett would just run out of the studio, and he'd be gone. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could happen, I think. Yeah. All right. So maybe next week Barrett will give us his reviews of what he thought were the best beers, unless he just forgets entirely. But I actually went to a beer tasting with my wife a few months ago. They did some special deal, and I got inspired, and I bought tickets to it. And then we both were kind of sick, but we were like, "What the hell? We have tickets. We better go to this thing." And it was pretty good. And then I actually wrote down. I took some notes of the beers I liked the most because I figured I'd forget. So, is that Fox there?
I come. He's under strict instructions that I'm in the music room with the door closed, making a telephone call for a while, and that we'll play together afterwards. So, but that was him running up the hallway. Do
you have rock and roll? Do you have a rock and roll room with guitars and stuff?
It's true. Yep. Yeah, I'm very lucky. You've got a drum kit in here, and
that's fun.
My guitars and amps and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's totally cool. So, if Barry and I show up at your place, we could do a jam, right?
Totally.
Absolutely. Do you have a bass set up too?
I've got a bass.
So you do. You can do a full band then.
Can do a full band.
Oh, that is awesome. That's so great. Yeah. I love having a rock and roll room in our house. It's and you've heard on the podcast Grant making a racket. It's it's fun. It's great to have the setup.
Yeah.
So all right, hey, there's a new Dinosaur Jr. album, and it's called. Hey, I wanted to ask about this. See what you think about this. The album is titled "Give a Glimpse of What You're Not," and "You're" spelled Y-E-R. So that's a weird thing, right? That's a stylistic thing, and it's kind of like a rock and roll thing, right? Instead of Y-O-U''RE, you spell it Y-E-R. But I don't know where that comes from. except that maybe,
Well,
I don't know.
I mean, Jay Mascis, he does kind of, he has got a particular way of talking, really, doesn't he? He does kind of, he doesn't exactly mumble, but he's, you can kind of imagine that if he said that sentence, that's kind of a bit more how he would sort of say it. He'd sort of say, yeah, rather than your.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Don't you think?
Yeah, it seems in character enough. Yeah. So let's start with a track, and then we'll talk about it extensively, I'm sure. So, would you like to pick the first track?
Great. And let's go with this track. I'm going to put this out there, and we'll talk about this as we kind of like dissect the album. But let's go with track 3, and I want you and anyone who's listening to imagine that this was actually track 1 on the album. So this is a song called Be Apart.
That's Dinosaur Jr. And, Be Apart. So that was one of my favored tracks from the album also. I'm not sure what I think about how it would sound if it were the first track, because it's, it's more mid-tempo to slow compared to the rest of the album, right?
Yeah. So I guess I loved that song, and I just felt it was so... beautiful and powerful. And I almost sort of call that it's sort of like a ballad to me, a Dinosaur Jr. kind of ballad. And I realized that I really love their ballads, their slower songs. And I feel like with this album, I feel like the first 3 songs were just like not great choices to be the first 3 songs, because I feel like the rest of the album has got all these kind of great different songs, and the first 3 songs just kind of, although not terrible, were just a bit, I don't know, just not great, and just sort of sounded a little bit like generic Dinosaur Jr. songs from the last few albums. So that was just an idea that I had when I was listening to it. Yeah.
I think they want to hit hard with the rockers, because they still feel like that's their bread and butter, I guess. But then, but I agree with you. Then when they change it up, that's kind of what makes them a good band, right? Although, do you think? Okay, so I think out of the 11 tracks, Jay Mascis sings 9 of them, and then 2 of them are Lou Barlow songs. Don't you think?
Yes.
Don't you think? I think the Lou Barlow songs sound kind of out of place. I don't think they're bad, but I think it sounds like a completely different band, right?
Well, it does, and I like how you put that, because it sort of makes you realise. Well, I guess so Lou Barlow wrote the 2 songs that he sang, but you kind of realise, wow, how much of Dinosaur Jr.'s sound is the fact that it's Jay Mascis singing. So it's almost like if you just change one thing, I guess the singer is obviously a big thing, but yeah, you're right. It sounds they almost don't sound like it's Dinosaur Jr.
Yeah, maybe we should play one of the Lou Barlow tracks to explain what we're talking about. So
great.
I think tracks 5 and 11 are the 2. So which one should we play?
Oh, can we go for track 5? And can we also play a little game while we're listening to this? I want to throw an idea out there that might be like, I can't believe he said that.
Okay. So
when we get to 1 minute and 10 seconds of this song, tell me which alternative American band who have sort of become kind of mainstream and super, super popular. So what super popular American rock band does this song kind of remind you of when it gets to 1 minute and 10 seconds? You're going to hate it as well. Terrible.
This is going to be fun. All right, track 5, Love Is.
So thin, a light the light can't find, a shadow wrapped in skin. Let it fall on you, let it pin you down, till you tell the truth. No matter what they say, there's no reward for pain. Don't ask for it again. Let it fall on you, let it pin you down, till you tell the truth. Careless, what I wished for I did, but once I had a taste of it, if you lose it all again, that's a choice that you have made, and the beauty of life unfolds along of is the law.
Okay, at the 110 mark, I don't know who that sounded like, but I'm ready to hear it.
So I reckon it sounds like the Foo Fighters.
Ah, okay.
There's something about the kind of chords and just the kind of vibe of the melody. It's in that section just before that guitar solo started. I could totally imagine Dave Grohl kind of singing that with his particular kind of vocal styles, and just going to have that a bit of flavour too, and that didn't wreck it for me, but it just sort of was like, oh yeah, funny, if that section was in a Foo Fighters song, it would totally fit.
Yeah, well, especially since Foo Fighters own rock and roll and they do everything, right?
That's right. You guys used to talk about Dave Grohl every week, didn't you?
Yeah,
I brought him back. No,
that's what U2 turned into, right? They were like their own unique sound, and then they decided that they basically owned the entire world of music. So yeah, Foo Fighters kind of did that too. So, all right. So here's a little music journalism. Dinosaur Jr. For those of you who don't know, they're from a place called Amherst, Massachusetts. It's in the middle of the state of Massachusetts, not like suburban Boston. It's about 100 miles from Boston. Of course, Jay Mascis is kind of the lead guy, and Lou Barlow is the bass player, and the drummer's name is Murph. It's something Murphy, right? But they just call him Murph. And the really short Wikipedia article on Murph, this is what it says about him. Murph is known for his pounding drum beats and tight fill techniques. That's it. Isn't that great? You're a drummer. You're known for your pounding drum beats. Did you know that Jay Mascis also is a drummer, and that back in the mid '90s for a few years he was the band's drummer, like on their recordings, I guess. So
yeah, and it would be great to sort of talk about the whole kind of like their whole career in terms of how their albums have sort of. It's almost like there's kind of like certain periods where different things were sort of going on in the band. But you're absolutely right. Yeah, in the 90s, Murph sort of left the band. And, there's a couple of albums where it's basically just Jay Mascis playing and singing everything. He's doing all the vocals, all the guitar, but also the bass and the drums. And apparently he sort of started off as a drummer. And I think there's a band called Witch, which he's, I don't know whether that's still going, but they were from a few years ago, which was a band that Jay just played drums in. And I'd heard that when they're sort of making an album, Dinosaur Jr., Jay Mascis has basically worked out all the drum parts, and so he plays the drum part to Murph, and so Murph just learns Jay Mascis's drum part, and that's what he plays.
Wow, that's really interesting. So it's like he's in a cover band, right? Here's your drum part. Play this.
Well, I mean, who knows if that's really what happens all the time? But
I'm sure he adds. I'm sure he adds like his own like stuff to it. But I can see how like a songwriter who is also a drummer might have ideas in their head, like this is how I want the drums to go, or this is the beat that I want, and even certain like fills and stuff, they might think that's what I want in this spot of the song, right?
Yeah, and look, I know that lots of people kind of worship Jay as a genius and all that sort of thing, and I think he's great. But it is kind of weird to sort of like when you just sort of imagine him playing the drums, because you sort of it's kind of this weird guy with this long grey hair now that plays this incredibly loud guitar. But so to kind of like think of him behind a drum kit, it's almost hard to sort of picture.
Right, it is. Did you ever see that photo of Jay Mascis buying a Volkswagen?
No. No.
Grant sent that to me a few months ago. You know how sometimes, I don't know, they do this in the United States a lot. I don't know if they do it in Australia, but like you go to the car dealership and you buy a car and they want to take a photo of you like at the dealership with the car.
Oh, wow. No, I've never heard that.
Well,
that's weird.
It's very weird. Like they wanted to use it as an ad or something. So
right.
So somehow this photo got around of Jay Mascis buying a Volkswagen. So it's like this picture of him standing next to this car dealer next to this Volkswagen. It's just very funny because it's so out of context. You think of him as this rocker guy, and then you see him in this context of just buying a Volkswagen. I bet if you just did a search for Jay Mascis buying a Volkswagen, you'd probably get that photo. So yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good.
Well, that's funny. And actually, I heard sorry, I know I keep just talking about interviews that I've heard and this and that, but talking of Jay and cars, I saw this interview and he was talking about when he owned a Jaguar. And so he was talking about sort of when the band took off, and he was just kind of like on the side just kind of mentioned, I had this Jaguar. And again, it's almost like trying to picture him behind the drum kit, like to picture Jay Mascis like having this like sporty Jag. It's so weird. It kind of makes you think, oh, wow, I guess, maybe in the 90s, he was making heaps of money and he went out and bought a Jaguar. But like I always just, I can only ever like picture him kind of like, waking up on a mattress on the floor, not buying a shiny new Jaguar.
Right. It doesn't seem like the rich guy lifestyle kind of a guy, right? He wouldn't have like a Trump mansion, I don't think.
No, but apparently their recording studios in his house, so you can totally imagine that, can't you?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yep. All right, I can make another pick. I think.
Great.
I think this will be consistent with with your thoughts on the album. I like track 4. I Told Everyone.
Everybody says hello. Every reason, element that's left unknown. Tell the family, tell them where you thought we'd go. No discussing, 'cause I don't know when it's a no. Still intact, I told everyone, right on track. Everybody said hello, made me nervous. Say it different than before. Left no trace. I showed everyone, couldn't face. Right on track, I told everyone, still a fact. Rack my brain, it's a thing, all wrapped up, listening. Tell them all, make it sad, on the fence, are you
Dinosaur Jr. I think that kind of combines the wall of guitars with the tunefulness pretty well.
Yeah, I love that song too. It's got an awesome. I really want to talk about Jay's guitar parts, but that song was a good example of like not the guitar solo, like through the verse. He often has these beautiful sort of little melodic guitar lines, but that are repetitive. I don't know if you were kind of picking up on that sort of repetitive little lick that he's playing throughout, and it's just so simple but awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
As we're talking, I'm looking at a photo of Jay Mascis standing in front of a Volkswagen.
You found it. Yep.
Yeah, he looks really unimpressed with the fact that he's having his photo taken. He's kind of standing there. He's got his little purple sneakers on. He's got his sort of trademark baseball cap on with the eyeball. Seems to be obsessed with his eyeball image. And he's got his hands in his pockets like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And the guy next to him is like, yeah, we're taking the photo. But strangely, the car is parked in the disabled zone.
Yeah,
so I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I'm looking at it too. Oh, I don't know. I'm looking at the image from a Facebook post, and it says, It says, we were very starstruck. Congratulations to Jay Mascis from Dinosaur Jr. on your 2016 Volkswagen Golf.
Yeah, and
God, that's great.
Yeah,
he's kind of like he does look like what the hell, if you need a photo, that's fine.
but that's Jay's. It seems to be his MO, isn't it? That's kind of how he always is. Unimpressed.
Yeah, I mean he gives that kind of a vibe. I really don't know a lot about him. Like, I haven't read that much about him other than just knowing his music.
Yeah, I heard someone he was talking about how people think that he's really lazy, and someone said, yeah, people think that you're really lazy just because of the way that you talk. because he has this really kind of slow, low, kind of monotonous kind of voice, people kind of think that he's some sort of slacker. But if you look at his, how many records he puts out and how much touring he does, he must be working all the time.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's
pumping out the music.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, and it's totally like, this is the resurgence of Dinosaur Jr., right? Is this about the fourth album they've had in the last 7 or 8 years, I think?
Yeah, so basically 2007 was like the kind of relaunch of the band in a way, which basically was Lou Barlow and Murph coming back on board, so the original lineup. And so now this is their fourth album since 2007. So they've been pretty consistent, I guess, every 2 or 3 years. I guess it's that's almost 10 years, 9 years they've been reformed for. But their first album was in '85, so it's more than 30 years ago. So I mean that's kind of amazing, really.
Boy, that is a while. Yeah, that's good. I love it when aging rockers have a resurgence. It's good.
Yeah,
it's a good thing. Very good thing. So, do you think we should play one more track from this album?
I would love to, and if you can indulge me to go back into another ballad.
Sure.
And I was saying that I wanted to talk about Jay's guitar playing, and there is an awesome solo in this particular song. And I have read a couple of reviews, and some people were sort of talking about, some of this, this song, it's, standard kind of Dinosaur Jr. song, but it's got a great guitar solo and blah, 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 and it's got a great guitar solo. I was sort of thinking, wow, do people just sort of like hang off his guitar solos? I mean, I love his guitar playing, but I never really think that his guitar solos are the best part of the song.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird to think that maybe other people do think like that. I don't know. Who knows? But I did want to listen to this song called Mirror. Did you have any thoughts on this song, Mirror?
Good. Yeah, definitely good.
So can we go? Can I also? I know I'm really asking you to indulge me here, but if we can go from like halfway through the song, because there's kind of this really kind of groovy, heavy guitar solo-y bit, and then it goes into this awesome sort of like soaring, screaming guitar solo bit. So if we went from like 2 minutes 20, you'll hear the end of that chorus, and just goes into this great couple of solos. Is that okay?
Oh, you bet. We'll fade it in, play the second half.
Great. So for me, that's as good as it gets.
The album has a lot of, you think of, it's funny, I find myself, like with these last 3 or 4 albums that they've done, I find myself thinking, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this album, because it's probably going to be just like a wall of sound with Jay Mascis vocals, But then when you get into it, it always has this variety to it, and the slower songs are, like you said, they're really good, and they're interesting, and they're different, and it's anything but monotonous, right? It's just what holds it together is the whole J Mascis sound. But yeah.
Yeah, no, look, I like the way you put that, and it's kind of it's kind of a similar reaction for me, I suppose. Whenever I listen to their music, my first reaction is sort of like, I'm not even really sure if I kind of like this band. Do I actually like this band? I'm not sure if I do. And then like some track will come on like that'll just like split my entire soul in half and like, release my, every cell in my body into the universe, and then it'll come back again at the end of the guitar solo, and it's like, oh yeah. So it's sort of, there's hardly any band in the world where I like all of their songs, and Dinosaur Jr. is probably a good example of that. Some of their songs are like, yeah, but then other songs will just kill me, and it's they're late, this album, probably even more than the last couple, are kind of like that. There's just some awesome songs on it, but you do have to kind of listen to the whole thing and listen properly.
Yep. All right. That was quality music journalism, Nicholas. You always do. You always take the music journalism to another level for us, which is very good. Very good.
It's lovely that you say that, but I always feel like I have to, it's just me watching a few interviews on YouTube and reading through their Wikipedia page the night before we record. So, it's not much, but it's lots of fun.
Yeah. All right. There's pick number 1 this week, Dinosaur Jr. Aging rockers, and good aging rockers.
And isn't it great to live in a world where there's still new Dinosaur Jr. albums coming out?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I don't know what it would be like if we were still in the old vinyl world. That's a great thing about the whole digital music world, isn't it? Because maybe your priority wouldn't be to go out and buy the vinyl of the new Dinosaur Jr. album if you were going to just, have to decide what you're going to buy on vinyl, right? If that was the only thing there was. So I think it's just great. The musical world that we're in is good.
Sorry, I don't have anything to add to that. I'm just sort of like breathing in and out, just thinking about what you're saying.
It was a pretty profound statement. I can understand that would leave you speechless. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk about Cheena. So I found this band called Cheena, and I was intrigued by them because I read a review that compared them to the New York Dolls, and I thought, okay, it might be kind of fun to hear something that sounds like the New York Dolls. And so I have to first admit that I wasn't a fan of the New York Dolls at the time of the New York Dolls. They were mid-'70s. They're like 72 to 75 or something. Is that roughly the era? I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, they're one of these bands that I had never had anything to do with, and I just sort of know of them because people refer to them.
Yeah, and I was, I was alive then, because that's why I'm an aging rocker now. But I was pretty young, and so they weren't on my radar at all, and they weren't even on my radar, in the 80s and 90s, as my musical taste kind of developed. But as the years have gone by, I find them to be a very intriguing, interesting band to go back and listen to. And then when I hear somebody's influenced by them, I think, well, this could be kind of cool. So, it's some kind of New York City sound, I guess, they might say. And so this band, Cheena, they have a bunch of band members that have been in other bands, but none of the other bands are any bands that I know anything about. So as far as I'm concerned, they're starting from a clean slate. And they're also on Sacred Bones Records out of New York, I think Brooklyn. Do you know the thing about Sacred Bones Records?
No, tell me.
All of the album covers look the same.
Right.
They have this thing where, like, at the top of the upper right, they'll have the album title, and I don't know, you have to just look at it. And I'm not sure if I really like that. It's like, I think it goes too far trying to make, the label have an identity.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like a 60s thing, really, isn't it?
Right, yeah, they're kind of retro looking. I remember the band The Men. that we've talked about a couple times on the podcast. They were on Sacred Bones, I think, because their album covers looked like that. So of course you know that, right? So
yeah, I remember as a kid picking up a Rolling Stones album and going, "Oh wow, here's a Rolling Stones album." The title of the album is Decca. Because it had this huge, because it had the the record label really big on the very front of the album.
So it looked like there could be, I get the whole idea of your record label having an identity, and I suppose if you had a whole bunch of bands on this one label that you really liked. Then you walked into a record store and you saw that format of album cover. You'd be like, hey, there's a new Sacred Bones album. I think I'll buy that. But I'm not sure in this, today's world with just so much out there, I'm not sure how effective that is. Well, anyway, so let's play a song and then we can talk about it some more. So this is the one that kind of grabbed me that I thought was kind of a rocker that I liked a lot. The band is called Cheena. The album is called Spend the Night With. And I'm going to play track 3 called Car. That's Cheena, and I think that's a rocker. I'm calling that a rocker.
Yeah, that was cool.
So I sprung this on you out of the blue. So what are you going to give us your impressions?
Yeah. So I kind of liked it. I guess that would be my bottom line statement. I kind of liked it. I didn't. And some stuff I've been asked to listen to for this wonderful podcast, I think I've really struggled to kind of like listen to even all the way through. But this, I listened to quite a bit, and I kind of found it kind of curious, and I guess there's a few kind of like musical elements about it that sort of stuck out to me, and it's a little bit like when we were talking about with Dinosaur Jr., like the songs that Lou Barlow sings. Suddenly it sounds like a different band, and there's one particular musical element in this band that I thought, that's kind of a little unusual for this kind of genre, and it's kind of interesting how it kind of gives a particular flavour. So maybe we'll listen to another song, and I'll just ask you to see if you can spot it, or should I just say what it is that I'm talking about?
Yeah, sure.
You want me to say what it is that I'm talking about?
Up to you.
I reckon let's listen to track 4 and just think about what instruments are being played and if there's anything that's jumping out as a little bit different.
Okay, track 4, it's called Jane. Okay, I've got all kinds of answers for you on this one. Okay.
Great. Okay.
Okay.
I was thinking, the fact that I said, listen to the instruments, I feel like, I've just made it really obvious what I'm talking about. So I'm interested into your thoughts.
Kinda, but I'm not going to only give you the obvious. Okay, I'm going to give you the subtleties too. Okay. All right.
Cool.
So yeah, that was one of my picks. I like that song.
Yeah.
The obvious thing is they just have their guitars kind of loud, which I think is kind of cool. It's like the guitars are like hitting you in the face, right?
Yeah, that's right. And the vocals are not particularly loud at all. They're kind of like
Right.
almost buried in the mix.
Right, which is kind of it's kind of a thing I kind of like in general, because I think like music sometimes has more power when the whole band sounds like it's totally rocking, and if they put the vocal too far out in front, then it sounds like the band is the backing band. I don't know, just a thought that I have.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, and we'll come back to talking about the vocals a bit more later, but you keep going.
Okay, here's this a very subtle point I'm going to make here, and that is there's a pounding floor tom, and that is the underrated component of the rock and roll drum set is the floor tom. So all you people at home, pound on that floor tom a little more, because it's cool. It's really fun. The drum set Grant has set up down in our basement has a great floor tom, and I went down there the other day and I started pounding on the floor tom. I'm like, this floor tom is great, and he just wanted to pound just wanted to pound it. It was great. Okay, so I think the obvious thing is the slide guitar, right? It's got a slide guitar in there, which that's a little different element, right? I don't know. I don't even know if the New York Dolls had a slide guitar. Seems like they probably didn't, right?
No, and the only other band that I kind of think, I mean, I'm sure this band wouldn't want to talk about Aerosmith, but when we're talking about Aerosmith, we're talking about like early 70s.
Right,
and I'm sure there was a connection between Aerosmith and the New York Dolls, even with the way that Steven Tyler dressed.
No, I think you're right.
With me? I lost you.
I think that's absolutely right. Yes, absolutely.
And I reckon there was probably some Aerosmith stuff where one of the guitar players was playing slide.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Absolutely. Oh, totally. There were like a lot of Aerosmith songs. Like I used to really like Aerosmith in the mid 70s. They went downhill fast, but they were pretty good for a while, I thought.
But this, yeah, I mean, you've nailed it. Basically, this slide guitar, it's kind of like all over the album. And I did watch a bit of a live performance of the band just on the internet. And, yeah, so there's two guitar players, and one of the guitar players seems to just play slide the whole time. And it kind of works. It's not like he's some... amazingly smooth kind of like blues slide guitar player. Like, it's pretty kind of rough slide, but it sort of seems to work. And I think it kind of just gives it a bit of a sort of a different kind of flavour and makes it a little bit more interesting. Like, if you kind of imagine these songs without it would be, yeah, I don't know, just a bit boring or something.
Yeah, I'll say that I think that this is not like a great album, like from beginning to end, but I think it has like some really good moments, and it's kind of fun. There's one song that's sort of an outlier, but I kind of like it. I don't know. I have to get your thoughts on this, but you probably know.
I hope it's the one that I have a little smiley face written next to the song title too.
Well, it's pretty obvious, right? Track 5, right? Let's play that one. Electric Snoopy Gang. Electric Snoopy Gang. That's Cheena, and the album is called Spend the Night With 3 dots after it. So I guess that means spend the night with Cheena, right?
Yeah.
You know what I should mention? This is kind of funny. I have to get your reaction to this. On their Bandcamp page, they have like a little promo, couple of paragraphs, and clearly this is written by some sort of publicist, right, or somebody from the record label, right? So here,
yeah. Keep going. I was almost afraid to bring up some of this stuff, but you've led us there. So let's keep going down this track.
Have you seen it?
Yes. I have lots to say about this.
All right,
and it's not all good.
So this is what it says: Don't sleep. Don't retreat. Stay a while. Let's spend the night together. Cheena testify to a long history of New York nights, trading insults and borrowing beer at rooftop parties that began years ago. There's plenty of New York in this band. Lou Reed's better glam punches found a jawline or two among them, the heavy-handed playing of the dolls, and that particular manner of New York glam you can hear in Kiss. That's all in Cheena. Spend the Night With is a soundtrack to nights where revelry and lust are never isolated from poor decisions and vanity, where the grave sincerity of a bathroom confession explodes into cruelty and hysteria. Nights on busy streets or crowded subway cars colored with elegant ambition and constrained by the practicality of street smarts. That's okay. That's, if I read that to Grant, he would hate it so much he would refuse to ever listen to the band. Right, so.
Yeah, and I would totally respect Grant for that. I mean, it
was hard to read.
He's got the right attitude. Let's just put it that way. He's a better man than I am, and if he just walked away shaking his head, I'd be like, I want to be like Grant. Why can't I be more like Grant? I just walk away shaking my head. Don't even listen to it.
Well, I listened to the album before I read that, so I thought, well, I'm going to give the music a chance. So, hey, it's just some publicist guy, right? I mean...
it's just some publicist guy, but it's funny how... I mean, we're obviously on the same wavelength because, I mean, I don't know if I probably listened to a little bit of them and then started trying to just find a bit of information about them, and it just totally put me off the band, and it made me really hate the band because of these words that were written on their website about them, which is stupid because it should just be about whether I like the music or not. But it just all sounded sort of like bullshit to me. What does any of this mean? It's just so stupid. Like there's just, I'm ranting now, but you've started me. Yeah. So this is another quote, and so they're saying, out of their shared affinity for 77, as in 1977 punk, and mutual respect for Mercer art era New York City, early glam and West Coast punk, which I just feel like all the members of the band, they're about 27 years old. And I just think all of that's just bullshit, that the fact is that they are lucky enough to have been born and raised in New York City, and now they're in a punk band in New York City, so you can just sort of like write this stuff about this kind of, the cool stuff from the 70s that happened in New York. I mean, Mercer art era NYC. I mean, what the hell does that mean? What does that even mean, Mercer art era? I'm obviously missing something really important that, would have changed my life if I had been living in New York City. Yeah. Can you hear how angry this stuff makes me? I don't care.
Yeah. You need to tell us about how we missed the 2008 Melbourne scene or something, It will never be so cool because we've never even been to Melbourne,
Yeah, I mean, and I didn't even grow up in Melbourne. I grew up in a place called Ballarat, which was kind of, regional Victoria. So, you guys don't know anything because you weren't at Wendouree Village Shopping Centre in 85 when we were into breakdancing with a piece of lino, okay?
Right.
So you don't know anything. You think you're cool growing up in New York City? Well, I grew up in Victoria, Australia, okay? Where we used to tape songs off the radio onto cassette. All right? So don't be telling me that you like your punk rock from 1977, because I used to listen to the top 40. When Lionel Richie was big. Right.
Do you think, this is what I'm thinking, do you think these guys wear sunglasses during the day? I mean, at night, like when they're interviewed, like they're inside. Do you think they'd be wearing sunglasses? It seems like they might, right?
I think so. I think so. They'd have slightly dirty T-shirts.
Yeah. Well, with a strategically...
tight pants and sort of,
strategically ripped.
Certain kind of sneakers.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We've all got our thing that we do.
Yeah, and they make some cool sounds. So it's okay to like some cool sounds by people maybe that you wouldn't personally like, right?
Totally. I'm sure if I met the Ramones, I probably wouldn't like them. But I love the Ramones music.
Yeah.
And I thought there was quite a bit of Joey Ramone in the vocal delivery of the guy from Cheena. Did you get that at all?
Well, I didn't think Joey Ramone, but I just sort of thought attitude and not the featured part, not the part of the band that I really even care about. But I think the loud wall of guitars, and occasionally they have almost half the time they have some pretty cool riffs going on. I think. The Ramones, I think that I would like... I've read that Joey was actually kind of a nice, sensitive guy. I think Dee Dee would have been like completely annoying, just terrible. And I think Johnny would be like the serious businessman, so he might not be that cool. I don't know. There was Marky and Tommy, right? We're both drummers. I don't know enough about the drummers. So, yeah, I did see them. I saw them twice. I saw them down on the campus of Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois, in about 1979 or 80, and then I saw them in Madison at this bar that is now like a disco place. Well, you know, they don't have disco places anymore. It's just a bar now, like that plays like DJ music. But that was probably like mid 80s. So,
oh yeah, cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool. Although, you know, at the time, like, I'm not going to say, hey, you know, I'm so cool because I saw the Ramones and I was totally into it. You know, I mean, it's fun that I saw them, but they were really good for about like 25 minutes, and then it was just like, okay, they're just still going. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's another song that sounds exactly like the previous 10, right? So they'd be great for like a 25-minute set, but when they go for like a little over an hour, you're like, okay, yep, here's another one. That's what I thought about them at the time. But you know, still, I mean, I have great respect for the Ramones, but let's be realistic. This is how it actually came across back then. Like, so many bands get glorified, right? And you want to go back and be like, oh man, they were so great, you know. Maybe they really weren't. Like, okay, Queen was really great. That was a cool band. They were really good. Let's see, Boston, they weren't that good. They weren't that good of a live band. Who else? I don't know. It's like I've seen too many classic rock bands to be embarrassing. So, yeah, all right. Do we want to play any more Cheena, or do we want to just stop there? I'm fine either way.
I feel like, I don't know. I really like that last one that we played. Should we maybe we'll finish with one more that's a little bit more representative of the whole album?
Sure.
To give people who are listening a bit more of a taste.
Sure, let's do that.
Maybe we go for. Can I choose one? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
And this one I thought was very Joey Ramone in its vocal stylings, but also, like you were saying, the vocals are kind of like not loud. So this is a good example of how they're kind of buried in the mix and the guitars are nice and loud. So track 6 is called Stupor.
That's Cheena. Yeah, I gotta say the slide guitar is pretty good in that song. I think the slide guitar is not really something I'm a big fan of in general, but you know, it kind of it goes with the wall of guitar sound of this band, I think.
Yeah.
So
hey, and these guys are on tour, so I've got all the cities in front of me. I don't know which one is closest to you. There's Phoenix. I assume that's Phoenix, Arizona, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Arcata, Arcata. Where's that?
I don't know. I've never heard of that.
Seattle PDX. What's PDX?
PDX is Portland. That's for some reason. That's the airport code for Portland.
Okay. And then Vancouver. That's in Canada, isn't it?
Yep. This is all West Coast. Then. What I'm talking about here. Yep. This very
and then Portland again.
far away from us.
Oh, okay. Yeah. The title of this tour is the West Coast Tour, so I guess that's the little clue to me that it's on the West Coast.
Yes, I found this one of these tour. There are these websites now that accumulate tour dates.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Like, it seems like I don't know. Like the band you like is already going to have the tour dates on their site, right? But anyway, so I'm not sure like what the benefit is of these sites. But this is kind of funny. On this one site, it lists their tour dates, and then it says similar artists on tour, and one of the artists is called SHIT, just like with periods after it. Your band is called Shit. That's pretty good, right? That's really radical, right? They probably have a publicist who wrote something like they wrote for Cheena, maybe. All right. Nicholas, you never fail. I come into this and I think we probably only have about like 50 minutes worth of material. And here we are, recording time of well over an hour, because I know you go into this thinking I've got to give them even more than their $0 worth.
It's true. I mean, you guys pay me well, so I feel like I've got to earn my. How much you pay me again?
Yeah, it's a lot. That's confidential, but we can't disclose that.
Lot.
But for that high amount of money, that's right. You do need to have pretty high standards, and not just content, but the actual volume of what you're giving us. So, yeah. So. Yeah. But maybe it's time to mercifully let the listeners, that maybe they're done doing their dishes now, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe they're like
things to do.
The laundry's all folded, or they've already made it to work. Maybe they're sitting in the parking lot at their workplace, thinking, "Come on, this podcast has to end. I'm already late for work. Come on, let's be done with it." Right?
Stop talking, Nicholas. Just stop talking.
Yeah. So I suppose we should, right? So
we should wrap it up.
You've already told us about a couple of new releases that you're looking forward to.
There's a few things. Yeah, I feel like I've got this like little group of artists who are my favorite artists, and it just so happens it seems that all of them are about to release albums in the next few months. So that's pretty cool.
So we'll try to a couple of them that you really like, we'll hold off, for you to talk about them next time you're on, so we don't have to put you through listening to something you might not like and having to come on and just slam them, right? So
and make some sort of unfair judgment and just kind of crap over some band that I have no right to do.
But what if one of your favorite artists puts out an album you really like, but then their publicist writes like a terribly obnoxious thing?
Don't get me started.
Yeah.
It'll be terrible.
It'll be a bad conflict. You just won't know how to deal with it. All right, everybody. What should everybody do? Send us emails. Send us audio. You've sent us audio before. I mean, that's not hard to do, right? Tell the listeners how easy that is. You just do a voice memo on your phone, right? And then there's some kind of share button, and you send it by email to us. willsband@yahoo.com.
Yeah, just do it. Right? Look, this is a special message to people who are listening, that I was just some guy who just found this podcast and started listening, and I thought, oh, come on, I want to get on board. So I started sending you guys funny messages and all that. I have no real qualifications to be here. So this is the door is open. You guys are saying, send us stuff. So all you got to do is pick up your phone, record something, and I think it's the amazing thing is that, we could then hear the voices, the sounds of anything from anywhere in the world, whether it's down the road from where you are in Madison, Wisconsin, to another country. And I think it would just sound great on the podcast. So if you're thinking, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, you should totally do it, because I'm sure that we would all just love to hear anything from anybody. So, make a little voice message, whatever.
Yeah, absolutely do it. Okay, that's the custom message, and now we're going to give the standard contact information. So we'll talk to everybody again next week with another edition of Will's Band of the Week. Good night.
Good night.
You can subscribe to the Will's Band of the Week podcast using iTunes or any other podcast app. All of our podcasts are also available directly on our webpage, willsband.net. You can contact us directly by email to willsband@yahoo.com, on our Facebook page, or on Twitter @WillsBand. The Will's Band of the Week podcast is brought to you every week from Fourth Bedroom Studios in Madison, Wisconsin. Our theme music was composed by Grant and performed by Grant and Will. Thanks for listening.